the first team we have out of the highest ranking will be Crip, which is the last team. They do credit cards deals platform. Not sure if any judges have special comments about this team that we want to take them out or we want to add some more colors to.
Yeah, I think their business model is quite extendable. They can easily to replicate in different markets. So I think they have very good business potentials as well. Not just only in Hong Kong, maybe also GBA and also Southeast Asia.
I actually have a different view, and I mean, this is my expectation was, Crip would get a quite high score. Personally, I think the founder has very good presentation skills in front of investors. That's a plus. But then the business model itself, I've seen this type of business model in many markets. Southeast Asia, for example, Shopback, in terms of digital marketing, there are like two different, I guess, broad categories. Shopback as one of the examples. They're doing, they're connecting users to a lot of the deals. They have their own user traffic, but, a lot of the e-commerce platforms, what we call platforms that have a lot of user traffic, it's really hard to beat this type of players in, say, Southeast Asia or any market in around the globe. In China, it's actually sort of a failed business model already because of Taobao, because of Meituan, which platforms that are able to attract a lot of traffic. In Southeast Asia, I mentioned Shopback. There are two buckets. One is the what we call cashback websites. You see the deals on their websites, and then you get cash rewards. The other model is the price comparison. That's how they build content on their websites. That's how they attract traffic. But again, the user traffic, the traction is not quite significant. I think in Europe, in the UK, there's a similar company. I can't remember the name. The business model is not exactly the same, but it's similar. It's in a way, the fundamental philosophy or I guess the business model is quite similar to what they're trying to do. And I think they mentioned about 70,000 users. If I remember right. But at the same time, I don't find their business model very attractive.
I give one more comment. Yeah, I agree, like the presentation is really good. And also like you can use one simple sentence to represent the whole business idea, which is great, like very easy to understand. The reason that I asked about the revenue stream is because sometimes I don't know like how he's going to position going forward. Is it going to charge the banks more or the merchants more or even to us? Like if you are going to decide like you are doing for one specific area, then you have to just to focus on it rather than you want to do everything for everyone. I think it's impossible. Like if from my standpoint, if he is going to charge on the customers, then I would expect more from him, like more interactive interface, maybe doing some analysis for my own consumption behavior, things like that. But if he's doing for the business, for the bank side, then it will be a totally different stories. So I'm just not so sure like what his direction going forward. But I agree it's very like easy to understand business concept.
I think Evident is another company that does alternative asset fractionalization and placement platform. So wondering if judges have any special comments about them, that we should take them out, or any thoughts about this team.
I think based on the blockchain technology, he tried to enhance the liquidity of those alternative assets. I think the concept is good, although this is very difficult, and I think although this is at the early stage, I found this direction is quite attractive, yeah, and the market potential is big. But I have to emphasize that the journey will be very painful and a lot of issues to be resolved.
Yeah, I think it's actually quite competitive. I think a lot of the players are actually targeting asset fractionalization already. So that's why I was trying to push him into like, what's your edge, right? In terms of like compliance or licensing regime, like how can you make yourself stand out? So business model itself is fine, but it's like, how do they differentiate themselves from other competitors out there? I think it's key.
I struggle to sort of see the real differentiating factor with is it AreaX, and how they would actually sort of really scale this opportunity in relation to sort of other peers out there that, or other platforms or even exchanges that could sort of, I guess, offer this service as an extension or just develop this if they haven't already. So AreaX I did struggle with a little bit here. I'm not sure what everyone else's view is on them.
So for Eric's, they didn't answer my question. He didn't answer my question about the retention. So I asked about the customer acquisition, the ARPU, and the retention. Their ARPU is about 20, and their CAC is about 40. But I'm not sure. I mean, I would assume, honestly, their retention, customer life is less than 2 years. My concern for this company is the level of pricing or fees they're able to charge is not very high. So they need to have very outstanding customer retention stickiness in order for the business model to be viable.
My comment is this is a very competitive space. We have seen a lot of projects offering similar offerings. So I am not sure, not a first mover, they don't have first mover advantage for sure. So I'm not sure how they are going to really grab the market quick enough to survive, not even to talk about making money, right?
I found this company is very powerful based on their presentation. Over 8 countries, over 300 banks, and then they can remit money cross-border. Based on the presentation, this is a really very powerful platform and solution. But in reality, I'm not sure how this company get through all the compliance and regulation in different aspects. Yeah.
I see Eric is ready to speak.
Yeah, okay. I also similar comment with you guys as they haven't any first advantage for the in the market. They're not the first one, and also I think the presentation actually is great, but I don't think that how to gain more profit or commercialization here. So so same comments here with you guys.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about their business model either. So for B2B cross-border remittance or payment, there's Payoneer or like Ripple based on blockchain. For B2C, there's Wise. Transfers now focuses on B2B as well. And then they sort of analogize themselves to Money Forward and Revolut, which are self-claimed digital banks in the UK and Japan without banking licenses. But for these two companies, which they consider competitors or comparable companies, they focused on card issuing, the two companies he mentioned. But it seems like he's saying their focus is like onboarding, KYC. And that's why, initially I thought they were actually providing services to Money Forward and Revolut, but turns out they are saying no. He was saying no. I think Money Forward and Revolut are similar to our business model. So I was a bit confused in the end. But my take from that is they focus on KYC onboarding. They do some B2B payment or remittance, but in the B2B payment space, it's already extremely crowded, competitive, and there are many very prominent players internationally. And to answer, the regulatory question, they will have to, rely, say, either on the bank to maybe open a sub account, and they're a bank, and that's how they open accounts for their customers. Otherwise, it's impossible to carry out such business.
Just add a little bit comment on account opening. I think like if you're talking about opening a bank accounts like for retail clients, like some of the banks are able to do it online already. But if you are talking about like more sophisticated clients, like for banks like us, like definitely we will need to do source of wealth, which is not only about like the AML, all those stuff. You have to know what the client's money is coming from, like the background of the clients, which I don't know whether he's able to do that by just purely doing facial recognitions or uploading the documents. I just add a little bit on the D07, Osbridge Economics Limited, because I think he is one of my top 3. Like the top 2, like you mentioned, the third one is actually Osbridge Economics Limited. Like even though what he is saying that is quite similar to ChatGPT, but what I can think of the application is that like he could do the same things for the banks, because like for us, like we also want to have something like ChatGPT, but you know ChatGPT is not accurate, things like that. But we are actually developing a protocols to use our internal data, which is more accurate, and to develop an answer or system like to answer the questions for the clients. So when he talk about like this kind of abilities, I actually think of like our banks may be able to do is things like that. So that's why I actually picked him. But I don't think he has a very clear concept or presentation yet. That's why I would say like we can talk further or discuss further. But yeah, in terms of presentation, he's actually the third for my list.
I see.
Yeah, actually, I also have some basic understanding about Osbridge because they are a cyberpunk companies. So I know they have a strong team members that hold the patent. That is the engines that they are going to build, and I think these kind of a closed-loop ChatGPT for institutes that would have quite good potential because some companies they will have some privacy concerns. Some internal documents are not allowed to share with to the cloud, something like that. So that, but in fact, there are still need of searching these kind of documents and analyzing it without without the technologies. This take quite a lot of time to do so. So I think their solutions is useful for institutes like financial or even the government.
Actually, it's also my top 3, similar to Jenny's. I guess my thinking is there is a need, like in the market, about like the accuracy of chat, like similar to ChatGPT product, and also there's like a need for like closed loop products so that company secret won't leak out to the outside, like to the cloud out there, right? So definitely there's a need, but I've yet to see their very like concrete strategy, go-to-market strategy. But the idea or the technology itself, I do see demand out there. Yeah.
I see. Harry and Eric, do you guys want to add some notes as well?
No, I mean, I didn't obviously get to hear everyone, but I do agree with that. And I think with Oxbridge Economics, you know, I work in a bank, so does Eric. There's tremendous inefficiencies with regurgitating, you know, manually analysis that, you know, could be populated, you know, by AI. So I do see the potential there, and we're actually piloting something internally anyway. But if someone can do it better than us, can learn from other institutions without necessarily data sharing, I think there's incredible market opportunity there. So I do agree.